Welcome back to the Aussie Shed, ladies and gentlemen, for another episode of How the F do you do that? Today on this episode, I'm going to show you guys how to rebuild the Kingpins on a Nissan Z32, possibly other Nissans of the same period. I'm pretty sure the R32 and R32 GTR, maybe some others, have this same Kingpin arrangement. And I'm also going to be pressing in new ball joints into the lower control arms. I've already done the inner bushings with some energy suspension bushings, but look, honestly, they just push in. There's really nothing to show there as long as they're around the right way, and they can really only go the one way. So currently the ball joints are in Mrs. Aussie Shed's freezer. Hopefully I can sneak them out without her noticing. I hid them underneath some steak, so we should be good to go with those. But first order of the day is rebuilding these Kingpins. Now, I've already done one over here, just so that I've got my technique down pat, so I don't waste a lot of time here. Now, if you would like to do a similar thing and rebuild these Kingpins, these are the parts that you'll need. Now, I'm rebuilding these with genuine Nissan parts, so let's go through the parts and the part numbers. First thing is the Kingpins themselves. Now, if you need new Kingpins, that's the part number that you're after. 40022-60U05. Now they come all nicely packaged up, sealed up in there so that they don't have any rust or anything on them. They look spot on when you get them out. You can see that's one of the old Kingpins there. It's quite pitted. I'm only replacing one. The other side I reused the old Kingpin. It was actually pretty good, but this one had a lot of rust in it. The seal had failed around the top here, and honestly it probably would be okay to go back in, but they're really not that expensive, so you know, get a new one. Alright, the next thing is our Kingpin bearings. There's a big bearing and a small bearing. This is the large bearing. It's a 40030-60U05. So that's the big one at the bottom. It's got a seal on one side which goes facing out when you assemble this. This is our top bearing. Smaller guy, no seals, can go in either way. It's a 40030-33P07. We have a seal for the bottom. It's a 40579-33P01. That's our main seal. And there is also what they call an O-ring, which goes on the Kingpin itself once you have the assembly finished. And it's a 40290-33P00, or poo as I like to call it. So obviously, you'll need two of everything. Oh, forgot one more thing. There it is. Caps. Kingpin caps. I've actually replaced all the Kingpin caps as well. They're kind of rubbery. There's no seal on the top, and the Kingpin caps have kind of a rubber stuff on them around the edge, and they kind of work as a dust seal in the top. And even though my old Kingpin caps were okay, again, this component isn't that expensive, so I just replaced all the Kingpin caps at the same time. 40041-33P03 is the part number on that guy. Now, if you'd like to see the teardown video of these components, which I did quite a while ago, I'll leave a link to that right there, just so you get a bit of an idea of the teardown side of this. I've actually just finished painting all these components. They're painted in KBS. They've had a whole heap of coats on them. They've been cleaned. They've come up spot on. So now it's time to rebuild them. So this is the one that I did earlier. Just like a real TV show, guys. And here's one I did earlier. You know, beautiful. Come up real good. Like I say, that's the second-hand Kingpin. That's the one out that was out of it previously, but it is actually in pretty good condition. A couple of light marks on it, but almost nothing. Not worth replacing. All right, so let's get to it and do this second one. Just another quick thing to note, guys, these factory bearings from Nissan come pre-greased, so you won't need to dick around with greasing them. I know a lot of the aftermarket stuff doesn't. You have to grease them yourself. I'm not sure if you can even get these aftermarket, but just sort of something I'd point out that it's something that you won't have to deal with. I'll give you a look on this guy here. You can see the grease already mounted in there, like so. Yeah, genuine stuff, pre-greased. Way to go! So we're about to head over to the Aussie shed press to get this assembled. There's a few things I had to do with the press. Of course, my press that I built is kind of on the small side. Particularly the table and the distance between the table beams. I have to split the press table to be able to fit this in because there's not enough hangover to do it from the side, and it's too fat to kind of slip down between the press table sides. But first, before I do that, what I want to do, and this is the technique that I worked out from doing the other one, I should be able to do this all in one go on the pressing table. Well, two goes, but not have to reset up the Kingpin assembly twice. So what I'll need to do, I just want to tap this top bearing in on the bench, just tap it in lightly. Now it goes in fairly easily. It doesn't require a whole heap of force, but it is quite awkward to get to. And the second one, the main one down under here, it requires more force to be pressed in. Once it's in position, you'll see in the table there, once it's in the press, you'll see why I'm kind of getting this one set up first. So I'll just whip over to the bench. I'll tap this one in just slightly so it's started, and then we'll head over to the press. Alright guys, here we go. I'm very packed in here with bloody crap all around me. I've got lights set up on one side, so I've got cables and bloody tripod and shit everywhere. Alright, let's see how we can do this. So as I say, I'll split the press table, like so. Yeah. Bit of a rag around it so I don't bloody wreck it too much. Should hopefully sit there. We get all these bolts back in the press table to make sure it doesn't explode on us, which is always a good thing. Alright, we appear to be set up. Now, as I mentioned, our first bearing has just been tapped lightly into the base of this, and I'm just quickly going to get that guy pressed in. Now it's going to get a bit noisy, guys. Right, so this final bit of positioning I'll just do with the thread, so I know I'm sitting pretty square, you know. I think I'm pretty right. Alright, let's press that down and see what happens. Alright, that's that guy. Now, as I say, the reason for that, got the thing in the right position, we might as well make use of it rather than have to get it out and then get it back in again. So next thing we've got to do is this main bearing on the top, just here somewhere, and it'll sit there. This guy here. As I mentioned, this seal face goes to the outside or up in this situation. And you will need a drift to press it in with, guys, because it goes below the surface. Just like on that bottom bearing there, I use this old bearing casing as a drift so that it will actually countersink further into the housing, because they do sit in about 5 or 6 mil. Same dealio with this one, guys. So this is another bearing casing. Whenever I do any work with bearings at all, I generally either get the bearings apart, take the inner races out of them, take the casings, whatever, because all this kind of stuff, you end up with a big collection of various sizes, and you'll generally find, I've got a bit of a box here of just stuff that I've salvaged over the years, and I pretty much never am in a situation where I don't have a drift to suit what I'm doing, particularly this type of thing, and in a race where it's, you know, it's got a flare on one side and that on the other. You've kind of got two sizes to work with it. So anyway guys, in this situation I'm working with that tapered part down on top of the bearing, and that's going to allow us to go down inside the Kingpin housing about 5 or 6 mil. Alright, let's get this set up. Alright, that's looking pretty good. These spaces that I have under here, guys, that's just so that I don't crush this brake line mount, you know, on the press there. Things like that. There's always lots of setup when you're pressing things, guys. It's just, you know, just part of the deal. Unfortunately, the biggest part of pressing is all the bloody setup. Yeah. We'll get that guy on there. So we'll wind this down here. Always generally tend to use the winder. Helps me, you know, with positioning stuff, making sure that it is actually in the right spot, and that I am not going to fuck anything. Sorry YouTube, I'm not going to stuff anything. I find that using the threaded section to get my final positioning, it just kind of helps a bit, you know, when your press kind of takes up. If you've done much pressing work, you'll be aware that everything tends to sort of jump around for a second to find its own alignment, and this just kind of helps get everything right. Alright, I think we're just about done, guys. We can take this in. Like I say, that's going to go about 5 mil below, and you'll hear the tension in the press change when we get to that. Alrighty, here we go. And there it is. And while I'm at it, guys, I'll press the seal in as well. Might as bloody well. And again, with this bearing, guys, I'm just sort of using a tapered bearing sleeve thing, you know, that presses in before you run your tapered bearing in. And I'm using it to get me on directly over the edge of the seal, so that we don't kind of squash it. You can see it just sort of fits over that top edge. And we should be good to go with this now. Admittedly, this would tap in real easy, but, you know, they're a bugger to keep square and all that sort of stuff, whereas we can do it so easy with the press. Is that going to be big enough? Oh yeah, that'll fit. Oh, that's a tight fit. Sometimes a tight fit's a good thing though, isn't it, guys? Alright, let's just push this in. It won't take a lot of force. I might actually do this by hand rather than use the air. Alright, excuse the arm, it's probably going to be in the way. I'm going a bit wonky. Alright, needs a bit of de-wonkifying. There we go, that might do it. I don't think that's going to work, guys. It just went a little bit wonky. I'll get this out of the press and I'll just finish it off on the bench with a hammer. It's actually pretty easy to sort this guy out. Alright, luckily I've got a spare if I've buggered it up. Alrighty, let's see if we can fix up this seal a bit where it went a little bit cockeyed in the press. You can see she's hard down on that side in there, but not real good there. So I'll sit it down on the bench here and I'll try and just drive that edge in. What's it go here? Yeah, you probably can't see it real well there, guys, but not a lot I can do about that. Actually, I'll move the camera over here. See a bit better from there anyway, guys. I'll just sit that on the edge of the bench there. Hopefully we can drive this down without buggering anything up. It'll be a little bit tricky. Oh no, there it is. It's just caught a little tiny bit on that edge. But she's all good now, guys. An awkward piece to hold on to in many ways. Okay. There we go. See, she's hard down all the way now, and we didn't even bugger it up. Alright, let's head back to the other table where the Kingpin and some of the other parts are. Okay, so next thing we've got to do, guys, slip this new Kingpin in. There it is, fresh out of the packet. Nothing like a nicely machined component, is there? So we have this sort of keyed washer and the lock nut for the top of it. So this will just go straight in, guys. Just like that. Isn't that beautiful? Now, keyed washer straight on over the top. Just felt like it went a little bit better that way. Not that it should really matter. Alright, now that's got to be torqued. 108 Newton meters is what I've been torquing them to. And that should be looking pretty good. Now this seal here, it just goes onto that section of the Kingpin there. It can go on either way. It's, you know, it can flip over any way you kind of want to do it. And it just completes the seal where it mates with our front hub assembly. So goes on there. I'll actually put a bit of grease on it when I put it on sort of permanently, just to hold it in position. So then when this bolts into your front hub assembly, you know, that sort of seals it all up. Front hub assemblies are already rebuilt with an Akebono brake kit fitted to them and everything. I'll leave a link to the actual front hub rebuild right there, so you can have a look at that aspect of the front end and the rest of these components if you like. But I'll just take that off for the moment so I don't lose it. So we'll head back over to the main bench and we'll torque that up, and we'll fit a new cap. That guy right there. Alright, let's head over to the actual bench. So what I'm just going to quickly do here, guys, is set up a couple of jam nuts on here, just to allow me to hold this and get it torqued up properly without being too much of a problem. Alright, now I should be able to hold this in the vise. Alright, that should be good enough. Yeah, we'll just rack that down. Alright, hopefully it won't spin on us. That's going to be our biggest issue. Is it spinning like it was already starting to do before we get the torque on it. So 108 Newton meters, guys. We'll see how we go. There we go. We did it. We did it. And while we have it in this position, we can fit our dust cap. This guy. Now, same deal here with the dust cap. I'm going to use a drift on the outside of it. Again, it's a part of it's a seat for a tapered roller bearing. It'll fit nicely over the top of that, and at least then we can hammer around that rather than hammering directly onto the cap, you know. See how we go. Now for tight situations like this, guys, I've got this little funky hammer. This hammer's got a bit of a story. It's actually an orthopedic surgeon's hammer for doing knee replacements and things like that. It's a little bit of a limp-wristed man's hammer, but in situations like this, there's very little to hit on the backswing. I know a few of the local doctors, and it's actually been quite handy. All this sort of stuff's single use too. Anything that they use in any of their operations all gets chucked away afterwards, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, so I very rarely break it out, but it's quite handy for something like this. And that's it. She's on. Now, as far as getting these jam nuts off, guys, our old friend Mr. Impactor is your tool to stop it sort of spinning and everything. Tends to remove stuff without all the drama. There we go. So that's it. That's a fully rebuilt Kingpin assembly for a Z32 or R32. Ready to go back on the car. So next thing we'll do is we'll set up with the lower ball joints on the lower control arms. Alrighty. Alright, lower ball joint number 1. Just got this guy out of the freezer. It's been in there for probably 18 hours. And hopefully that'll shrink it down enough just to make it a little bit easier. So I've just got to get the right spaces and everything out to set up this lower control arm, and we'll have a crack at pressing her in, eh? Alright, I think I've got the setup that'll do the trick. So we've got this guy here on the bottom, fits nicely over the ball joint. We'll just reverse these. Like that. Go like so. Is that going to hit? Might hit the bottom here when we press it in. Alright, I need something else. Alrighty, that's a bit better. No, the spacer. That way it's not going to kind of crush down on top of it. Now we've got that guy, which pushes really close to the edge of our arm. And we've got this socket so we don't fuck anything up. And that should be our setup, guys. That should be us. Alright, let's see what happens. Alrighty. How did we go? Alright. That looks pretty damn good, guys. Pretty damn good. See, we're in all the way. Side looks pretty good. Haven't mucked anything up too much. Now, what we do have to do is there's a circlip groove in this. We just need to slip the circlip in it. Right there. Alright, we're all set up here with our circlip pliers. That particular side of this circlip, nope. Alrighty. Let's get him on. Hey, there we go. Jesus. Alright, we're in our groove. We're in the groove, we're in the groove. Always good to be in the groove. So remember guys, when you pull your old ball joints, make sure you keep the tapered sleeve that goes on them, because that's got to go back on. Your nut, and of course a split pin. But there we have it. Old control arm. New ball joint. New inner bushing. Ready to rock. There it is guys, full Kingpin and lower ball joint rebuild. I hope you like the video. I hope you find this at the very least a little bit helpful, a little bit inspiring. If you've got any questions for me, just leave something in the comments. Other than that, as always guys, thanks for stopping by the Aussie Shed. Always a bloody pleasure to have you here. If you like the video, remember to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to donate to the Aussie Shed, you can do so with a PayPal link below in the description. If you'd like to see a video on the rebuild of the Aussie Shed press, which I'll leave up here. And apart from that, I'll bloody well see you on the next one. Cheers.